In our conversation about creating new business models, I personally think that the business model canvas or the strategy canvas, whatever you want to call it, is an incredibly useful thing to do. So here we go, and here's an overview. This is what the strategy canvas or the business model canvas looks like. 9 components to it. On the left-hand side, I would call inputs. This is the value proposition or the offering. And this is the delivery part, and finally, who gets it. So let's be a little more specific. We talk about key partners, key activities, resources, the value proposition, the customer or client relationships, the nature of the relationships, the channel or delivery mechanism, and over here, the customer and the client segments. At the bottom, we have the cost structures, and over here, we have the revenue funding. So overall, we have 9 pieces all together telling a story. We can use this as a diagnostic, so what's going wrong. We can use this to test a new product or service. We can use it to explore an entirely new business proposition. We can look at our existing business. We can use it as a training tool, for example. So this is a great way to communicate with people. Now, underpinning this, I think there are a suite of tools that we can actually use to inform us. So here we have our 9 pieces. And for example, here in the key activities, we can actually use something like a SWOT analysis, an opportunity analysis, that we can actually explore what are the current and new resources and activities that will provide a competitive advantage. Some businesses like to think about what they do when they think about new tools. Here, to me as a marketer, the value proposition is the most important element. So what are the attributes of a competitive value proposition? Ultimately, we need to turn this into something meaningful for the end user and something meaningful that the organization can offer. So we might use a SWOT analysis. We might use something that we call a VIRO, a way of analyzing our capabilities. So V stands for valuable, I stands for inimitable, R stands for rare, and O is the opportunity of the organization to leverage that capability. We keep on going here. So what are the, in the customer segments, what are the key needs and wants of customers and client groups? We might use a segmentation analysis to do this, a classic marketing approach. When we go over here, we might call this a stakeholder analysis. So who are our key partners? Which partnerships will maximize competitive advantage? And we keep going. How will the cost structure contribute to our strategic goals? So our various financial analysis tools are incredibly important here. How will the revenue structure deliver on this strategic vision? Clearly the outcome, so revenue or funding if you happen to be a government agency or if you're a non-profit organization, the funding is incredibly important. So I think of this as the end outcome box that we're actually using to explore. Then over here we're looking at these delivery channels. So who are our customers and how are they engaged strategically? Employee loyalty, customer loyalty, something that we call the Net Promoter Score. These are the kinds of measures and the ways that we'd actually look to explore here and see what's relevant and important. So let's go back to our strategy canvas. Just a quick reminder. This side we're going to call input. This part here we're going to call our offering. And over here is the outcome, so the delivery part of the mechanism. Here we have our customers or who actually receives the benefits. Down here we have our cost structures. So what are the business cost structures? And over here is the revenue or outcome financially or in other resource terms for us. We're kind of calling this side efficiency. So here we focus on the efficiency on the delivery, and this side we call the value. So this is where we explore the value to the organization and also the value to the end user. A little more detail for us here. So start the part that I really find exciting. To me, the value proposition and its connection to the customer clients are absolutely essential. So let's be a little more specific. The value proposition we're defining as the bundle of goods or services that create value for customer or client segments or groups. So this is the offering. And I like to think of this in 2 parts. What it is that we're, as the organization, we're offering and what the over here the client actually gets. So I talk in terms of the value proposition, in terms of the give and the get. If we're going to link the value proposition over to the segments, a customer or client segment is the groups of people or organizations that the marketer or the offering firm aims to reach and serve. So who do we want to reach? Which segments will we serve? Which won't we serve? Which will we ignore? And our deep understanding of what their needs are. So that's the link between value proposition and customer segment. Here we talk about the types of relationships. Do we want this to be a very close, intimate relationship with our customers, often very high value products and services? We use a true loyalty partnership kind of model. If you're selling something online and you don't, it's a fast-moving consumer good, then perhaps you don't really want an intimate relationship. You want a convenient transactional relationship. The delivery of channels, how we actually reach our customers. If we go back over here, almost every business, customer, service-oriented or goods-oriented, has a network of suppliers that are actually involved in that. Here we want to think about risk, reducing risk and uncertainty, an important part of it, and how we get hold of those resources. Key activities is what we actually do to deliver. And here we go down to those key financial resources, our key business resources. This might be our people, our employees, our locations, etc. These are the things that we use to deliver on our deliver our value proposition to our chosen segments. All very well for all of that talking. So let's talk a tiny bit about how this actually works. And this is a simplified version of Netflix business model. I always try to look sort of backwards for these because so many new things are happening with businesses like Netflix, for example. We need to go a little backwards. So let's have a look at the value propositions that Netflix at this time are offering. Great price, easy accessibility, and huge convenience. So many of us have Netflix on our TV. I have a version that I can offer to 5 different family members or friends. So when I click onto Netflix, there we have, and I can actually have a look and see what my mum happens to be watching, for example, at any given time. So this is, one spot, easy, convenient, and relatively convenient. Who are our customer segments? Basically, everybody. In particular, fans of blockbuster movies, latest and greatest, and Netflix really is trying to break down the ease of delivery to customers. So, in other words, a key segment for Netflix are those people who actually want to get rid of their cable subscription or their satellite subscription and go straight to the source. As you know, Netflix now is also producing its own content, so its partnership model has changed incredibly importantly. Some of the activities that they clearly need to go about is handling the movie making, for example, a whole lot about content licensing, and clearly the software component is extraordinarily important for them. What kind of relationship, a self-service relationship, when we're interacting with Netflix, we don't really care that much about the company. We just we know that it's simple, easy, and we can usually find what we want. It's almost completely automated. Well, you can use your app on your mobile device, so easy and straightforward. Let's have a tiny look at Google's business model. Clearly, this changes rapidly. This is an old version, but I like this one. So we'll just here talk about value propositions and the customer segments, and we'll start with customer segments. So the customers are internet users, advertisers and ad agencies, Google network members, people who have a mobile device, both the people like me who use one, and the mobile device manufacturers, developers, and various enterprises. So really a broad and deep set of customer segments. And what are the value propositions? Some of they're built around Gmail, Google+, various targeted ads using AdWords, etc. constantly evolving, and all of these are about convenience, ease of use, and price. Another example, now who on earth has an iPod? I guess many of you wouldn't even know what an iPod is anymore. I like to talk about that because it really changed the way that we interact with music. It started with music. So the value proposition is a seamless music experience. It's just when iPods first came out, it was the first absolutely easy, useful way to access our entire music catalogue. And whilst Apple always likes to go on about how it targets, high-end, innovative users, essentially it really is about mass market. Apple always focuses on the new and exciting, and those those people who like early adopters, we call them. But ultimately, the idea is to get it to everybody. There are 9 building blocks to our canvas, and we've touched on those briefly: value propositions, the customer-client segments, the customer-client relationships, channels and delivery, and I'll post this for you so you can read in more detail: the key partnerships, key activities, key resources, the cost structure, and the revenue and funding streams. Remember, the left-hand side was efficiency, the right-hand side was value. So here's a couple of examples in use for you. So here I am, Ever the Clown, posing here. And the point, some of the points about the business model canvas, I always use large printouts when I'm working with clients and students. I use Post-it notes, easy to move things around. It's a great way to make it interactive, great way to have team involvement, and also important to use a whole series of other tools to inform our business model canvas. I love the fact that you can draw on it. It's a very emotive kind of tool. So this, we were working with a group, with a long-term non-profit that this year is celebrating its 100 years. Is it still relevant? So we were working with a whole group of key partners over here, and also with clients and potential clients to actually focus in on this organisation. Here's another. I like to put this together with a suite of tools. So here is a drawing of what it is that the actual issue or problem is. I really like the idea of a PESTEL analysis. A PESTEL analysis is an external environmental tool. So here we were part of the way through looking at our external social trends, what's happening in economics, what's happening with technology. I'm a great fan of getting stuff done, so I like to use this tool of what are we going to achieve in the next 30 days, what are we going to achieve in the next 60 days, I'm sorry, and then in the next 90 days. And here we have another example of our strategy or business model canvas. So what's the point of all this? We love it. Use it.